2024 is concluded, and you know what that means. Putting the games I played into a numbered list. I'll be doing this the same way I did last year, with the top 5 games that were released in 2024, and a top 5 games I played for the first time in 2024, but came out in an earlier year. I also have quite a few to mention that didn't make the list, so both sections will have an honorable mentions. I really did play a lot of games I enjoyed, and had many fun streams over on the Twitch channel. You know, my main channel, twitch.tv/Voxandra, which I'm sure you're following and watch on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Before I start though, I want to mention that currently sitting in my Steam library are the games 1000 Times Resists and Echo Stasis. I unfortunately did not find time to get to those, but felt that they'd likely have made this list if I was able to, so I just wanted to mention that. With that out of the way, here are my top 5 games that didn't come out in 2024, but I played for the first time in 2024. I haven't played too many Mystery Dungeon games, but just like all my other friends, I had a blast getting into Shiren the Wanderer. All the time you see videos or people talking about hidden gems of the Super Nintendo, which inevitably contain some of the most well-known games, but I want to know, where the heck is Shiren the Wanderer? I have never heard anyone talk about this game in my life until my good friend Level got hooked on it and insisted that I also play. It shocks me because this is easily one of the best looking and sounding games on the system, and that's coming from someone who grew up saying the SNES was her favorite. If you're a fan of retro games and this is the first time you're seeing Shiren, you should go play it. I mean, you're probably playing some roguelike while listening to my video right now, aren't you? You need to go play Shiren. It's a very deep game with a ton of tools and systems, and once you get the hang of them, you'll feel like a brain genius getting out of seemingly fatal situations. Shiren is extremely charming, and the mood is so fantastic that when you finally beat Table Mountain, it feels like an accomplishment worth being a little emotional over. Remember back in 2023 when I said I never thought I'd be into bullet hell and shmups in general because they seemed too difficult? 2024 Voxandra was a totally different woman. STG is now a genre for me, and boy did Blue Revolver stand out. It recently got a big update called Double Action, and I had a blast getting into it. You have 3 different characters who have various secondary fire types that consume meter. There's different ways to get your meter back, such as killing certain enemies or using bombs, depending on your character. The music owns, and I love the visual style, but the big thing is the scoring system. I've noticed in a lot of shmups, I'll focus on survival first, and once I'm better at the game, I start getting into the scoring system. Not so with Blue Revolver. It has a very intuitive system that's fun to engage with right from the get-go. As you kill enemies with your main shot, you get a multiplier that goes up to 8x. Once you reach that, you cash out by using your secondary fire to kill enemies and get a 64x multiplier. After that, the multiplier will expire, and you go back to building it up with your main shot, and repeat. It is so incredibly satisfying to do, even your first time playing. Blue Revolver also has a ton of visibility options. 120 FPS, you can change the color of the bullets. It's crazy how much you can customize. Simply put, this game kicks ass, and I can easily see myself playing it a ton more in 2025.
What's going on this time? I've become a little green sylvie line. What's got you moving so fine? Dancing to the rhythm of a sylvie line.
I played multiple games by the developer Sylvie this year, and while I can recommend anything she's made, Sylvie Lime is the one I really wanted to put on this list. It's an exploration game where the main mechanic is turning yourself into a lime. As a lime, you retain your previous momentum and bounce off objects until you turn yourself back or crash into something that kills you. There are a ton of objects you can find which interact in different ways, such as a house to change your respawn point, or a chair you can stand on, and well, honestly I don't want to say much else because I really think you should play this and there's a lot to discover. The game is absolutely littered with secrets, and you may be surprised to find out its deeper story. There's quite a bit I could say about why I enjoyed this, but I really don't want to give away too much, because talking about the mechanics might spoil some of the discovery process. I really think it's something special, and you owe it to yourself to try it out. Just type Sylvie Lime into Google, open Sylvie's itch.io page, and start playing. Right after you're done watching this video. I'm sure a few of you are scratching your heads, but yes, I beat Final Fantasy IV for the first time in 2024. It's one of those things where multiple times in my life I'd boot it up, play for about 2 hours, get distracted by something else, and just never get back to the game. I did this a few times as a teenager, and I don't know why I never just went back and stuck to it. Eventually it got to the point where I kept putting it off until the time was right, whatever that means.
Oh, she's still...
There was a part of me that was slightly emotional over it because I grew up with the Super Nintendo and loving RPGs. So there was something about this being the last time I'll play a Super Nintendo Final Fantasy for the first time. That had me feeling a little wistful. Regardless, 4 was extremely fun. So much so that I think I like it more than 6. Something teenage Voxandra would be surprised by. Not more than 5 though, and looking past the SNES games, 8 is still my favorite, and... Wait, why am I talking about this? Going on about which Final Fantasy game is the best is one of the most miserable things to do online. My point is, Final Fantasy IV is incredibly charming and a really fun game, which is a surprise to no one. Let's go. So, I took a look at some game facts today. I was curious what the recommended level for beating Barbara is. Here we have suggested level 25 to 40. Next top FAQ, recommended level 40. Next one, recommended level 27. All right, you wanna know what level I was? Try 22, 22, 18, 20, 20. Kiss my ass. You wanna know something even funnier? Look what I forgot to do. I got a new sword. I didn't put it on. I didn't give a fuck. Take that, game facts. Shit. Whoa. Oh.
Nice. Yeah, get him. Yeah, there we go.
Owned. There we go.
Nice. And Roger
There we
lived with
go.
like 1
He
HP.
lived.
Damn, dude.
Cool. I know. Retro indie gamer Voxandra putting Elden Ring at the top of her list. What a fraud. I really didn't know how playing this game would go for me, as I'm not really big on Souls-like combat or open world games. I think Elden Ring just ruined both for me. It's kind of like how I don't really play strategy RPGs, I just really like Disgaea a lot. I don't have a desire to play another open world game, I just want to play Elden Ring again. Hell, the only other Souls game I played was Dark Souls 1, and honestly, I'm content with these two. It's pretty funny actually, going from Dark Souls straight to Elden Ring had me thinking things like, wow, they're pretty in your face with the story and plot this time. It's a good one, too. It had me immersed and interested in seeing what comes next. You know, after I was done meandering around the world map exploring in random directions. Although I did beat the game in around 60 hours, which I've been told is less than the norm, I didn't think I was speeding through the main quest. I was just having a great time. Since I went with high strength and great swords in Dark Souls 1, I decided to change things up and play an int build with sorcery in Elden Ring. It was incredibly fun with a ton of cool spells to use. To the surprise of no one though, I ended up getting engaged? I appreciate the irony in me building an int build and thinking I was switching things up this time. It was inevitable though, wasn't it? 30 minutes, by the way. That was the time between me beating the game and ordering a Ronnie plushie.
Can I tell you something about that fight?
Yeah.
Is it too spoilery?
No, go ahead. You can tell me.
It is not uncommon to struggle so badly at that fight that you just like turn around and do a bunch of other shit elsewhere in the game and come back like double-digit hours in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When you did your first attempt and almost won, in my head I was like, you gotta keep it poker face. Like you can't let Vox know what she almost did.
Yeah.
Cool. What a wonderful list of 5 games that didn't come out in 2024 that I played for the first time in 2024. I did enjoy quite a lot more than that. For example, we have our Honorable Mentions. Mecha Ritz Steel Rondo, a shmup that has an amazing rank and scoring system that adapts to how well or poor you're doing in a really effective way. Silent Hill 3, a classic horror game that I thoroughly enjoyed. Super Alloy Ranger, an action platformer in the style of Mega Man, which I had a great time with. And Choren Sha, a classic doujin shmup, which might have my favorite looking shot type. But that's enough of these old games that didn't come out in the past year. What you really want to hear is what someone who mostly plays retro games has to say about newer games that came out in 2024, don't you? My top 4 for this year were pretty easy to decide on, but I wasn't quite sure what would get 5th place. After thinking about it for a bit, I really do think I gotta give it to Toho Danmaku Kagura Fantasia Lost. Last year I mentioned how picky I am about rhythm games because of how much I play Beatmania, and my bias kinda shows through here because I like Danmaku Kagura for the same reasons I liked Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. It has features that resemble Beatmania. It didn't start that way, with the release version of the game being very bare bones with rhythm game features, as well as UI placement that was beyond obnoxious. The combo counter was in a place you couldn't see it while timing notes. The notes themselves were difficult to read. You had to adjust high-speed settings for each song, and the preview didn't properly reflect the changes. It was pretty dire and extremely disappointing, because I know I'm not alone in loving the idea of a good Toho rhythm game with a plethora of famous songs. To my surprise though, mere days after the release, the devs had a news post saying they were working on implementing every single feature I said I wish the game would have. Even more surprising was how fast it was all implemented. You could move many of the UI elements to where you felt they worked best. You could add a slow and fast indicator. You could set a blanket high-speed setting to all songs. Just a ton of features which separates good rhythm games from bad ones. The support this game received has been fantastic, and it makes me so happy to see such a huge turnaround, as it's now a game I very much enjoy playing. And to think, it used to be a gacha game. It just warms my heart every time a gacha game crashes and burns, as it deserves to do, only to rise from its grave and become a real, normal game that's finally worth playing. What if Action 52 was good? Is still such a good description for UFO 50, a collection of games that absolutely nails what it sets out to do. The entire premise is that these games are all made by a fictitious developer in the 80s, with many of them sharing graphical similarities and some being sequels of others. What's remarkable is how complete each of these games are, spanning multiple genres and feeling like complete games rather than micro games or demos. I still haven't played every game in UFO 50, and yet I already love it. The standouts for me have been Elphazar's Hat, which plays similar to Pocky and Rocky, Pilot Quest, which is a combination of an idle clicker and dungeon exploration, where your resources continue to accumulate as you play other games, Overbold, which plays similar to Smash TV, where you bet on fighting more enemies at once to get more money to buy upgrades between waves, and Magic Garden, which is probably the most adorable Snake-like game ever, where you need to gather up uppies and drink potions to hit enemies for points. The game that really pulled me in, however, was Barbuta, a 2D adventure game filled with secrets you have to discover, make your way to the end. I also have to mention Mooncat, which has some of the most bizarre controls and amazing atmosphere as you wander around. I could keep going on, but that's the thing. So many of these 50 games are outstanding to the point that you will find something you love. I mean, look at this. I've only really played about a third of the games and put significant time into even less than that, yet I already can tell you this is a phenomenal game that I love. UFO 50 really captures the essence of retro gaming while mixing in modern ideas in a blend I truly enjoy. I once said that Saga Scarlet Grace had some of the best RPG combat to ever exist, and that playing it was extremely addictive, making you feel like a brain genius every time you pulled off a successful strategy. The newest entry in the Saga series, Saga Emerald Beyond, game code provided by Square Enix, takes the combat of Scarlet Grace and goes, well, beyond. This entry marks the return of Saga going to its fantasy and sci-fi roots, with a setting similar to the Game Boy Saga games and Saga Frontier 1. It actually has a lot in common with Saga 2, with the setting taking place in the Emerald Beyond, where various different worlds are connected to one another. It takes after Scarlet Grace in that you have different scenarios with different characters, and the way you explore is akin to a picture book where you travel between locations and make choices, which lead to events or battles. There isn't really dungeon crawling like you'd normally see in RPGs, which can be off-putting to some. The series creator Kawazu always was heavily influenced by tabletop RPGs, and you can kind of see how he tries to emulate a different style in Scarlet Grace and Emerald Beyond. The thing that really stands out is the combat system, where you select different moves and plan out the order they'll take in the timeline, trying to combine your allies' attacks for combos and manipulate the position of your enemies to get an advantage. You'll feel like a genius when you properly delay an enemy to allow more of your allies to combo together and get bonus attacks. Or feel like the biggest buffoon when you accidentally put a single enemy alone in a position that allows them to unleash multiple attacks. It's a battle system I just don't get sick of, and it makes me so happy to see Saga still going on strong and trying out new, innovative ideas. And one of the cats in the game looks a lot like my boy Kingston. This is good. When are we gonna see Kingston? When's Kingston in the game? A biker cat? Kingston. It's Kingston. He looks just like Kingston. Ah. Gay. I do not play the gacha Grand Blue Fantasy. I have no intention of ever playing the gacha Grand Blue Fantasy. I do, however, absolutely love the real, actual video game, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. This game has filled a void in my heart that I've been painfully seeking out for a long time. A multiplayer action RPG that I love playing. Relink is an extremely good-looking game. The single-player story has amazing set pieces with fantastic spectacles, but that's not what I love most about this game. What I love is how easy it is to play multiplayer with your friends and the multitude of boss fights you can engage with. There's all sorts of loot you get from clearing the fights, and it's a fun process of farming for rewards to build up your characters. Characters who have really fun playstyles, which have just the right level of complexity where they're not too difficult to get the hang of, but have little tricks and details to maximize your output. Most of my time has been playing as Zeta, who uses a spear and dives into enemies, and if you time your hit just as the right moment, she'll bounce back up in the air for you to chain multiple hits before charging up a big finisher. I really love playing this game. When you finish the main story campaign, there's a massive post-game that emphasizes playing missions multiple times in multiplayer. Every single time another friend of mine got to the post-game, I rushed over to play with them and help them get fancy gear for their characters. I never got sick of it. The game is just so much fun to play, and jumping in to help my friends get decked out was just so much fun. I don't know if this will be shocking to hear, but I put over 200 hours into this game during the first half of 2024, and recently I was talking to a couple of friends about getting together a group to revisit it. There's just not a ton of multiplayer games that I truly enjoy, and this finally scratched the itch for a co-op action RPG that I so badly wanted.
怖い。いやーんなんてね。できないよ。
I was destined to pass this exam.
Hey Voxandra, what if we remade one of your favorite games by keeping it as true to the original as possible? Remade the original chiptune OST with instruments while retaining the original arrangements? Make it one of the best looking video games you've ever played? Added voice acting that makes your favorite character sound exactly as you imagined her? Added new combat mechanics which build upon the original system? Balance the game around said mechanics so it retains the original's difficulty curve? Added in segments to flesh out the story from the game's stage play? And just generally be the best remake of a game you've ever played? I guess it would be my game of the year? Game code provided by Square Enix. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about remakes, which makes me feel a bit awkward about having one be my game of the year. The thing is, Romancing Saga 2 is one of the greatest video games ever made, and the creators of Revenge of the Seven did the original justice in a way you don't see too often. This is almost everything I hoped it could be, and importantly, doesn't seek to replace the original. It's exciting seeing even more people get into Saga thanks to this game, and so interesting to hear people say how innovative it is, cause guess what? Those innovative parts you're talking about, that's not new, that was in the original on the Super Famicom. Romancing Saga 2 is seriously one of the greatest of all time. This remake is one of the best remakes ever, and now even more people will experience how great it is. If there's anything negative I'd have to say, it's that I don't like they added the word hard to the classic difficulty in the English version. They did an amazing job replicating the original's difficulty curve despite the new mechanics, so you definitely should try playing on classic first. All in all, I love this game dearly, and it's easily my game of the year. I can't recommend it enough. I love it!
Not even once!
Not even once!
Inherit the memories and abilities of my father!
Inherited his abilities, you say? What utter tripe!
You are but an ordinary human! Your abilities pale in comparison to the 7 heroes!
Face it, Kazinsi! You cannot win!
This is fucking good. This is so good, man. Well, there you have it. My top 5 games that came out in 2024. It really was a hell of a year for games, as there were just so many things I loved playing. I do have quite a few honorable mentions that I think are worth mentioning. Bloodstained released their Classic Mode 2, which is based on Castlevania 2, and I had a great time playing what's basically, what if Simon's Quest wasn't boring? The Secret of Uranus is a love letter to the Game Boy Saga games, and I enjoyed their take on the original mechanics. It's something I think any fan of the original Saga games would enjoy trying out. Witching Stone is a deck builder roguelike where you cast spells by building a path through gems, which I found out about since it was made by the devs of Toho Library Survivors, something I also enjoyed. Code Bunny, game code provided by Team 7th Star, is an action platformer with some really fun movement mechanics, especially as Hazel, who marks enemies with a projectile, which allows her to dash into them. And finally, Kitsune Tales, which is basically Super Mario Bros. 3, except with gay fox girls. This was a ton of fun and has a very cute story. And that's it. I played a ton of other games that I really enjoyed this year, but alas, I cannot name them all due to the social contract of containing everything to a numbered list. I really did have a fun year in gaming. After all, I did get 2 brand new Saga games, and I also had some fun accomplishments, like getting my first Toho Lunatic 1cc. I hope everyone else had an enjoyable 2024, and I look forward to seeing what 2025 has in store for me. Will I finally play Treasure of the Rudra? Perhaps the Mega Man Legends 2 stream is right around the corner. Which shmups will I become obsessed with? Tune into twitch.tv/Voxandra in order to find out. No, it's not about if I die or not. I have to do it on one turn. That's what makes it sick. All right, gamers. All right, gamers. All right, gamers. You want to see how cool I am? Well, that's a shame. What's up, gamers? Oh, come on! Or are you fucking shitting me? Are you fucking kidding me? Whatever. You guys want to see how fucking cool I am? Fuck. You guys think you're so fucking slick. Well, you know what? You want to see how fucking cool I am? That's right, baby. Who wants to see how fucking cool I am? Hell yeah, let's go. All right, gamers. Who wants to see how cool I am? Oh, come on. All right, gamers. Who wants to see how fucking cool I am? Let's fucking go. All right, whatever. Fuck it. You want to see how cool I am? I'm dead. I have a migraine. All right, gamers, are you fucking ready? You want to see how cool I... Kissing too, fuck you. The point is, I'm not waking up kissing. Okay, that's the problem here. You fucking motherfuckers trying to distract me. You know what, motherfuckers? Do you want to see how fucking cool I am? Son of a bitch! That would have been the perfect time to get it. Oh my god, whatever. How am I gonna get kissed in the morning if I'm not cool enough to do the turn one-on-one try?